Thanks for that. Okay.
All right.
I don't have a response, so
we're ready to go, mate.
We're ready to go into the game. We are, oh yes, your standard 2-minute player introductions.
Yep.
And a big shout out, of course, is I wouldn't be the man I am today without In Control and Apollo. But our first player spawning in the southeast position, the red Protoss representing Team Liquid. He is HerO,
the Prince of Dreamhack.
And he's up against someone who's got enough trophies that we actually aren't quite sure what to call him of Dreamhack, because he would kind of taken every title already. The blue Terran player representing Team Liquid as well, he is TaeJa.
The demon god of Dreamhack.
I would take it. You know, I always kind of think of TaeJa in tournaments like this as like he's like the final boss, right?
He is.
Like,
he's one of them.
How many players, I really like to know this, have actually been able to win an offline Premier tournament without having to go through TaeJa? Like,
not many.
Like,
in these
unless
kind of
you've only
tournaments.
won one and you started on the other side of the bracket and he like lost in the semis. Like, it's just,
well,
you know, you're going to have to beat TaeJa at some point because he plays in everything and he really doesn't lose a lot.
Exactly. You got Life as well, is pretty much exactly the same sort of situation. Another monster who does so well at these huge international tournaments and not so well in like WCS leagues and etc. and GSL. But this game is pretty well underway at this point. 3 minutes 30 in. We already see a proxy pylon out to the mid right here.
Proxy Twilight Council.
Okay, so
and HerO keeping the probe here
DT,
leads me to believe.
yeah.
Dark Templar play. I would say, you know, it's relatively uncommon in PvT these days, but HerO is he's always been one of those guys that goes for this. And TaeJa, he's actually paying a little bit of respect to HerO. He's like, well, not entirely sure what you're up to. Even though he probe scouted, he doesn't want to build his command center on the low ground. He doesn't feel, and that's actually surprising. Like, if you rush the Mothership Core out on this map, you can get to that natural pretty quickly to deny the SCV. That must be the only thing that he would be concerned about.
It's gonna be Blink, but the probe is still there, so he's gonna throw something else down there, I'm guessing, at some point here. But yeah, I agree with you, and I mean, one thing to note is TaeJa knows HerO very, very well. They are teammates. They have been teammates for years. So I'm sure he's kind of quite aware of how aggressive HerO likes to be in this matchup and has an idea of how to play this. And we see a bunker, a very, very early bunker in the mineral patch. Whoa. And I like this a lot, especially against pretty much anything.
Whoa, he's putting a gateway next to that. He's putting 2 gateways next to that Twilight.
Wow, okay. That's really interesting.
You know, I guess one way, if this were to get into one of those weird base races like MC had against Jakchi, just have your base somewhere else, man, and he can't kill it. But the Stalker's already attacking the supply depot at the front wall of TaeJa. And the bunker in the mineral line, like, this is great versus a proxy Oracle or a really fast gateway rush.
Even
but
against DTs, it's pretty good, I think.
Yeah, I think he really wants, in my imagination as a Terran, you want to have your bunker up front against this type of assault. Or
yeah,
at least,
you want multiple bunkers at the front.
Yeah, you need more than one, and you certainly are going to have a hard time holding this without Marauders. So the starport opening is nice. He got the factory. He has a Widow Mine, but like everything right now is set up to defend Oracle.
Yeah, and I mean, we don't even have Stim on the way at this point, and it's very, very important against Blink Stalkers eventually to hold it off. And
I don't think
no bunkers at all either.
I don't think TaeJa really has a whole lot to deal with this. I'm kind of concerned.
Well, hang on, we got a Widow Mine on the way, which is going to help out a lot against these Blink Stalkers. Always something you really, really want to have against these timing attacks.
He needs to keep a position somewhere that the Stalkers can't bait the fire. Like, put it just high enough into your base that it will only trigger once the Stalkers blink in. Like, TaeJa's moving out with one of his Widow Mines in his medevac, but the robotics facility is halfway done. So HerO, he's on a path to being able to defend it, but this Blink, I'd say, since he's still on one base, you know, all in basically,
completely.
Really, he needs to kill TaeJa with this, or deal, you know, crippling amounts of damage so that he can expand.
Yeah, and looking what he has at the moment, there's no bunker at the top of the ramp here. If he can snipe this Widow Mine, it'd be so important, but he just misses out. And he could take a Widow Mine hit, but nice Blink there. And that's quite a number of Marines as well, but still, no Stim on the way, no combat shields just yet. The tech lab only just finished at this point.
Yeah, the weird thing that can happen with this is, you know, if he had Marines in that medevac, he wouldn't even be able to deny any production from HerO because there's not any other gateways there. So first observer is out.
Oh, this could do a lot of damage.
Wow, great target fire with that mine, killing 6 probes. The mine is about to rearm itself, but there's still quite a few Stalkers inside of TaeJa's base. And the Time Warp is going to make things complicated. Like, he pushes him, and actually this could work out a little bit, because if the Stalkers blink down to that right area, they are going to have to move quite a bit to get back towards that ramp area, and this will buy TaeJa some time. He can afford to lose workers, especially with what that Widow Mine was able to do to HerO's economy.
And with the second CC as well, I mean, he's not really going to fall behind at all. Now there's a tank in the main, so he's kind of sitting pretty at this point. It's going to be very, very hard for HerO to find a way in.
Yeah, I think this has reached the point where HerO's going to need to expand behind this, get a sentry on the low ground, and play safe, because now he wants to move up. But once he starts taking fire from that tank, you know, Microing isn't going to do as much. Actually gets a kill with the Widow Mine. Like, that's...
Yeah.
You know, and so enough of these Stalkers are low health that you're basically one tank shot and one Marine volley away from losing, you know, your Stalkers. But HerO continues to warp Stalkers in, blinking into this. I've actually lost a couple, my fair share of games, like when the Stalkers like just dive on the tank, snipe it, and kill everything else. But with the bunker there and the Widow Mines, that's really, really risky.
Yeah, and now we see Marauders being made as well, and that's quite a lot of Marines outside the bunker, so it's going to be very, very hard for HerO to really find anything. He's really going to have to commit a lot and quite possibly take a lot of damage.
He's really, really fishing for something like, okay, attack the command center. TaeJa shouldn't lose this. TaeJa shouldn't lose anything. Maybe that tech lab is snipeable, but even then he should be able to kill a Stalker or two in the process. And HerO's just going to come up and fight this?
Whoa, I don't like this trade at all. He lost 2 or 3 Stalkers there, and he's going to have to pull back. I mean, he's keeping TaeJa inside his main, but TaeJa just making a much better composition at this point.
Yeah,
and
moves
great
up
pick up there.
Tank, and when you blink in on this, and you're still trading a lot of your forces out. Now there are Marauders at play, and the Marauders do a great job of targeting down these weak Stalkers. The Mothership Core will fall, and HerO starts probe production again. He still has not expanded, and TaeJa's already lifted that orbital. He's like, yep, I feel pretty comfortable taking my natural.
Yeah, pretty easy peasy at this point, and we could have maybe seen a sentry to kind of delay this even more and maybe help him catch up.
The observer too, so there's no high ground vision anymore, and that means he can put the tank safely on the high ground to just jockey for positioning.
Yeah, this is looking very, very, very good for TaeJa. It's just a matter of time before TaeJa gets down this ramp, secures the natural, and is in complete control of this game.
And once Stim is over, this game should be, because HerO he's chosen not to expand. He needs to make, like, the type of play he would need to make is truly incredible, because there's no way to micro against these tanks when they have high ground, when there's no high ground vision for the Protoss. Yeah, there's nothing he can do against the tanks.
There's nothing he can do. He has to transition, but he's not so far. He keeps warping in Stalkers. He keeps making probes, but he's not making a Nexus, which he really, really needs at this point. I'm getting kind of scared for HerO. He's really all in with this, and there's the window of opportunity, as far as I'm concerned, is gone.
TaeJa's like, drop mule. Oh wait, you have an observer, scan, instantly kill it. It's like, well, you still have no high ground vision, so there's nothing you can do to try to pick off the tanks.
3 tanks at this point.
Yeah, 3 tanks have this. This is locked down, man. There's absolutely no way he's getting through this. Stam is about to complete as well. The Stalker step forward. It's like, yeah, I killed a tank, and I lost 3 or 4 more Stalkers.
Not good trades at all, and HerO, he's still trying to make something happen at this point, but I don't know. I know Blink Stalkers are good.
TaeJa, by the way, has lifted up most of his bio in medevac, so he's a little bit vulnerable now since he doesn't have a bunker, but still moving into this because the tanks have high ground vision is still too risky. So TaeJa's saying, yeah, I'm going to go end the game because you have all your units here. There's really nothing you have at home that can defend against this. He doesn't even have a Mothership Core, by the way, so this actually should just be game right here. Yeah,
he's going to right-click the Nexus. I mean, he could if he wants to, or he could just go and start doing probe damage here. Only 2 Stalkers and a Zealot, along with the probes. Probes getting funneled in, and just easy kills. 14 down already.
HerO walks into the ramp, not able to blink up, and gets wrecked. GG, TaeJa with a 1-0 lead now. Pretty straightforward game.
Very straightforward.
That was an awkward game, though. Like, TaeJa's build, not super crazy. Not unusual to do what TaeJa did, by any means. The bunker in his main mineral line, like, you go in, you're like, okay, I didn't get to see where HerO's pylons were. He didn't see a Nexus, I didn't see a probe in the natural. I want to make sure that I'm not going to die to some sort of proxy play or Stargate.
Exactly.
Makes a lot of sense, but
he knows HerO very well.
Committing to that attack after the 2 tanks were set up at the main base, like, once you've got the Terran contained on one base and he's got bunkers and tanks, you really need to just expand, like, maybe even like do something, take a big risk, add on your forges, or since you already have the robotics facility to deal with the Widow Mine, get a Robo Bay and just try to play like maybe Blink Colossus as a follow-up. But
well, I think HerO's mindset was just complete all in from that. He was just like, okay.
He was really far behind no matter which way you spin it.
And a lot of his infrastructure was like in a random part of the map. So if Terran ever found that eventually, he would lose 2 gateways. He would lose the Twilight, and yeah, it would be an absolutely horrible position. More horrible than what he was already in.
Yeah, tough start to the series for HerO that did not work out really at all. The next map is Catalina, and I don't think that does any favors for HerO against TaeJa either.
Well, he could try Blink Stalkers again. It is a good map for Blink Stalkers, but besides that, Terran pretty good on this map.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different directions that you can drop into the Protoss base from, especially like, you know, they'll say it again, the bottom right position, there's a lot of airspace behind your mineral line. It's really easy to move in with those fast drops or the Doom drops later on. Like, Protoss has like that, it's like okay if you open up with a Stargate, there's a lot of directions the Oracle can go in, but the Oracle is stopped by a missile turret, right? And
or a Widow Mine, or enough Marines. There's a lot of ways to go about it.
But a Doom drop is not stopped by a cannon in your mineral line. It's not stopped by 2 Stalkers patrolling on the edge of your base either. You really need to be aware as HerO, and I'm curious if he's going to do some sort of fast, aggressive attack again, because this map kind of asks for it. You really don't want to play late game versus Terran on Catalina.
I would think so. I would think that's kind of what we're seeing from HerO. That was a super all-in strategy.
Yeah.
It looks like he's just going to try and kill TaeJa before he gets to the comfortable like mid to late game, where we see TaeJa just dominate time and time again in just about every matchup.
Yeah, I'm expecting to see HerO try something else. Maybe not the same type of build, but Blink is still not a bad choice on this map either way.
It's one of the best choices, I think.
Yeah. Big thanks to all of you folks coming out here to watch our awesome tournament, watch some good games that we had. Hopefully this series manages to live up to the hype, man. These guys played in the Dreamhack Summer Finals earlier this year.
That's right.
It was a really, really clean sweep for TaeJa, even lifting off to the gold, no fear. But we are loaded in to game number 2 on Catalina, so it's going to be a big question of whether or not HerO can recover from this, because he's also one of those players that's known, you know, once he gets shaken up a little bit, he does have a very hard time recovering.
Very emotional player, absolutely right there.
Yeah, and he is our red Protoss in the left spawn. Representing Team Liquid, he needs 3 wins to take this series back. He is HerO. And yeah, his opponent, man, this probably arguably, if not one of the toughest guys to ever beat. A lot of people had him picked to actually take BlizzCon until he ran into life. His teammate, the blue Terran from Team Liquid, he is TaeJa. He's going gas first.
So we're going to see quite a lot of aggression here from TaeJa, going to this very, very fast gas.
I love these builds myself, because it really, like, as a Terran player, and the reason why like people like me will do it is because you really get a great opportunity to put pressure on the Protoss at the very beginning of the game. Like, oftentimes the Protoss build dictates what you do going into the mid game as a Terran. Like, if they open up aggressively, you kind of have to really tune the way that you're moving out to your natural, building your defenses up, whether you get your engineering bay early or not, whether or not you get a fast turret. But if you go gas first, the pressure is really on the Protoss, because they have to get a robotics facility to deal with Widow Mine play. They have to have that early mothership core to build up energy for the photon overcharge. And after that, there's not really any space to afford any other type of tech. Like, you need to squeeze out Stalkers with an Observer, and that's assuming he does go for just a Widow Mine drop play, when, you know, he still has the option to go for something like a Hellion run by as well.
It's kind of a way of Terran, setting the pace and, you know, fighting aggression with aggression. This map, obviously a map that Protoss will probably want to try and do a pretty early timing, at least trying to get ahead here, because it is a pretty unfavorable map. And I mean, look at these positions. In the bottom right to the mid left, that's great airspace to jump straight into the main base and just constantly do great drops. And if we see an early drop from TaeJa, we could definitely see that.
Yeah, he's still mining gas. Some Terran players have done this thing where, like, they get that factory, and we even saw it at MMA earlier today, and you just get that second barracks quite fast, and you just use the factory to get Widow Mine so that you're safe against whatever your opponent may be bringing to you. However, out of HerO, it's a pretty standard opening, just a gateway expand. He's done it off 2 gas, so he'll have a reasonably, well, he's getting actually a second gas just now, but he'll have a reasonably, like, quick route to get his robo. This play right here, if he's hiding a Twilight Council, this is actually really bad for him, because his robotics facility will be so much later, and TaeJa actually got in before there was an Observer out on the last map, and that was after he expanded. This is the fastest mine drop you can possibly do as a Terran.
Yeah, it's going to be coming very, very soon here. And I mean, mines are going to be very, very useful against whatever HerO has planned. As we saw last game, it really zoned out the Stalkers when they finally committed. And I really do appreciate this build considering I think TaeJa just knows exactly how HerO plays. He's going to be playing very aggressive because HerO has no confidence against TaeJa in a late game macro game. So
yeah, I mean,
that's good.
This build setup looks really, really good for TaeJa. It all depends on where he wants to drop, but man, I can tell you by the number of angry messages I've received after winning games with the Widowmine using this build order that not having any detection will make things really difficult, because you can try to drop and be like, okay, let's see if the Widowmine can kill all of his probes, or what I think is really cool, some players like Maru, I think when he was doing this build, like he would do it in a really cool way, would just go for the ramp. He drops on top of the ramp, outside the range of either Nexus photon cannons, and basically whatever base you photon overcharge, he goes for the other one. This Dark Shrine, though, is an interesting play because TaeJa's going to be looking to get his barracks set up as well as a bunker at the front reasonably soon. So an engineering bay might be a little ways off unless he scouts that Twilight.
Oh, and you're completely right about the ramp here. Putting the mine down is going to zone out these Stalkers, and he's going to have to force the Mothership Core to commit to doing photon overcharge in one of these bases. It should be the natural, and it'll give TaeJa the option to go to the main.
Wait a second. That Mothership Core was actually out on the map scouting. He doesn't even have access to the photon overcharge. The Hellions are killing probes in the main base. The Marines have denied mining at the natural expansion for a good long while. All he has that's really going for him is he will have access eventually to his Dark Shrine, but now, because the photon overcharge was used on the main, he can just come up and kill a natural, gets a Stalker with the mine.
This is a complete disaster. Absolutely right there. The natural has to abandon. There's so many probes gone down already. 8 probes from just this one drop and 2 Hellions. And yeah, TaeJa's in a great position. The engineering bay a bit late. DTs should be out well before that comes into play. So TaeJa's going to have to rely on some scans, and that Stalker just goes down for free as well.
Yeah, this is interesting though, because the pylon is ready for HerO up front. He's quite broke though, so like it comes down to how are you going to defend against this? He has the Raven on the way now. The engineering bay is about to complete, so yeah, you can get the DTs close up front, but TaeJa has pretty much everything that he needs. Like the only thing that'd be tricky is if he doesn't. This depot being lowered is
he's gonna get in actually. Well, gotta start killing Marines.
He does have scans available.
Oh, at the same time,
he doesn't really have a lot of units.
More and more probes going down. 4 more probes at least. And there's only 1 Stalker in the main to kind of help the probes defend against this. I don't like this at all. HerO's in huge trouble. Yeah,
and picking up the Marines, like, yep. Thing is, one Stalker alone does not actually do enough damage to kill a Marine that's being healed by a medevac. Like, you'll never kill the Marine because the damage output isn't fast enough. Great use of this Widowmine to clean up the DT up front, and now the Raven's out. He's going into a Banshee. Like, everything in this game is completely gone TaeJa's way.
Complete domination from TaeJa. He's up 20 supply already. The game has been going for almost 9 minutes now, and GG is called. 2-0 for TaeJa.
Solid start to this series for TaeJa. 2-0 lead. And
very quick, very easy games for TaeJa, just defending.
That build, though, like, I actually think it goes beyond just it being a good build, but it's a great build versus the player, specifically on this map. Because what were we just talking about? Like, this map is really hard to play in the mid-game stage versus Terran. You have access to all those drops. You have so many different ways that you can come into a Protoss player's base. And so for HerO, that's like, okay, let me do something aggressive. Let me open up with the Twilight Council. Maybe go with the Dark Shrine. Both of these are not bad plays per se, but the Widowmine build is specifically good against those because you don't have a fast way to deal with the Widowmine, and usually because you get that tech, you don't really have as many units as you need to defend. And in this particular instance, having the Mothership Core, a couple kilometers away didn't help him either.
Yeah, it is a fantastic way to kind of deal with aggressive Protoss. I completely agree with you there. And yeah, that Mothership Core was just so out of position. I wonder what HerO was thinking. Maybe he's looking for like that CC first or something.
He just wanted to, I guess that was like his
harass
scout.
Him maybe?
He's like, I want to just poke the natural, see what's here. But
and I mean, it kind of cost him the game. He lost so many probes so early on to just this 1 drop and 2 Hellions. It was quite a disaster of a game for HerO there.
Yeah, even if the Mothership Core was at his base, it's still quite tough because TaeJa committed to the ramp. And it was one of those situations where he could have dropped the mine in the main base because there was no robotics facility. But yeah, like there's very few ways for it to go wrong. If the Protoss doesn't open Robo and you have that mine drop, once that mine is planted somewhere useful, either the ramp or one of the mineral lines, the Terran has a lot of room to work with.
Even Stargate would have been better against that. Like if he had a Stargate, like an Oracle, he could detect the mine. He could kill the Marines very, very quickly there. There's a lot better ways to go about it. But yeah, just that one build, the DT build, horrible against this.
Yeah, it's possible to lose as a fault because like Like when I do this build, usually the engineering bay is the last thing on my list after the mine drop. Like I always want to get my 2 barracks up. I want to get my add-on, start up stim, and get a medevac out for a follow-up attack. And so you're usually putting up so much pressure that becomes a problem. But TaeJa, you know, there's a reason why he's a professional gamer. There's a reason why he wins tournaments like this, because he can do builds like that and not be weak against anything. Third map, Overgrowth. I mean, this is, I think, a better map for HerO. It's about as good as you're really going to get against TaeJa, aside from the short distance to his base.
Well, I mean, King Sejong was also a pretty good map for Protoss. We generally see that Protoss go to that map if they lose a game to Terran in a best-of-3, best-of-5 situation. But, I mean, HerO just decided to go completely all in on that map, complete proxy, and couldn't make it work. So, yeah, this is a pretty even map. I think this may be a little bit less favored for HerO than King Sejong was. It's a bit more of an even playing field. Yeah. Game has loaded, so we'll be jumping in just a second.
And yeah, it's Overgrowth. This guy down 0-2. He needs to win the next 3 games in a row if he wants to keep his Dreamhack winter hopes alive. Representing Team Liquid, he is HerO.
Got to really turn this around. I mean, he is a very, very emotional player. Having a big side there, not a good sign.
Not at all. This guy needs just 1 map win away from moving on, trying to get back up to the top here from the lower bracket. From Team Liquid as well, he is TaeJa.
Wants that revenge on life. We knocked him out of the winner's contention yesterday.
Yeah,
very convincingly.
When I think about players that beat TaeJa, like, it's rarely ever someone that beats TaeJa consistently. And Life has, he's officially done that twice.
Well,
so.
He is the world champion, Nathanius, so no surprises there. And I'm very, very excited to see how Life is going to be playing in that winner's bracket a little bit later today as well.
Yeah, it's really cool because it gives us, you know, like TaeJa rarely has like these stories of players he struggles against because he's just so damn good. But he really has quite a climb to make, you know. So he's been kicked down the ladder at the start. He has to fight his way in. Life's just like waiting up there. Well, unless First pulls a miracle out.
Hey, it could happen. First seems to be in very good form, and he was a IEM champion before. So we'll have to wait and see how that's going to turn out. A lot of exciting games today. Yeah.
So far on this map from TaeJa, looks just like a standard Reaper opening. Most likely, you know, command center, reactor. But both TaeJa and MMA have kind of been favoring these factory-based plays in the mid game. And, you know, this wasn't that popular a little while ago. A lot of people were opening up 3 barracks because if the Protoss was greedy, you could very easily go for things like a combat shield shove, which was really popular at the Intel Extreme Masters Toronto, as well as, you know, concussive shell pushes. Polt is one of the guys that really like to use those in WCS, but the factory play really trying to put pressure on Protoss players these days.
Yeah, I love the new style actually. I think it's really cool to deal with oracles, to deal with blink stalker timings, and now it looks like we are going to see Reactor on that barracks and a Reaper Scout, which I like a lot considering how aggressive HerO has been. It should be great to get a good scout off with that Reaper.
I love where HerO put the probe too, just outside, you know, any sane path that a Reaper would take. So able to keep that alive, you can at least confirm. And if he gets in, like seeing that it's a factory tells you a lot as a Protoss. You really don't want to do anything too crazy if they're going factory, because they're delaying things like stim so much that you can afford to be a little bit greedy, or not too much so, but as long as you have detection and a mine doesn't get in your base, you have a lot of room to work with. And the probe does get in, slips right by. He sees, okay, factory, 1 gas, you're not doing anything insane, but I will have probably keep my mothership core at home, for example.
Let's hope so, Nathanius. And yeah, great scout there from the probe. Sees absolutely everything. It's going to give him at least a little bit of time, a little bit of you can just kind of sit back and relax, like, okay, I know what you're doing.
Twilight.
But still going Twilight. It seems to be HerO's choice of poison today, and I mean, it's been hasn't really worked out for him so far.
Yeah, it is interesting. The amount of time that it takes to get Blink, you're rarely going to have it in time to deal with this drop, so you're usually just preparing yourself for the next stage of the game, which is assuming that you can defend against something like this. Now, important to note, TaeJa has swapped his factory onto the reactor, and this could be a little bit of what we saw MMA do on Deadwing versus Stardust, where he just got out a handful, or excuse me, Patience, where he just got a handful of Hellions, just runs them by to scout and also maybe pick off a few probes. So it doesn't need to be that mine drop play, but he still, you know, HerO still has to think about this either way. But
I mean, it can end games. If you get a good Hellion run by and you line up the probes, you kill a lot of them. We've seen this time and time again. And yeah, the Medivac is coming out now. It's going to have a full drop of Marines with these Hellions.
So he's still building Hellions. This, I've only seen every now and again. I know Pult has actually done this in quite a few of his online qualifiers for those aforementioned IEM events. But, you know, some Protoss players tell me they actually really have a hard time dealing with this, like, you drop into the main base or something, you force that Photon overcharge, or you get all the probes to leave, and then you run the Hellions up the front, or, you know, vice versa, basically, trying to really pull the Protoss around. And
yeah, I really like this style a lot. I've seen this before in Pro League and in GSL. It can do so much damage if the Protoss isn't really suspecting it, but we do see a lot of Stalkers coming out already.
It's very risky.
Blink halfway done as well, but I mean, the Reaper saw everything, so TaeJa knows exactly what's up. He knows he has to make this happen now if he wants to make it happen at all. Otherwise, Blink will be underway and it'll just get destroyed, essentially.
Yeah, things will get quite tricky for him. So here comes the drop into the main base. Now, there are, you know, that handful of Stalkers. It's not like there's a Widow Mine to anchor his defense. The Mothership Core is working away on those rocks. So Hellions run into the natural expansion.
A lot of damage.
Picking up a few probes.
Oh, so much damage, actually. That's 7 probes down already, going into the main base, lighting them up. 10 more go down. But that's a lot of Stalkers. He should be getting out of here if he cannot really trade with this many.
Yeah.
And he does.
Well, he got exactly what he needed out of that. You take out that many probes when your opponent is setting themselves up for 2-base Blink without any real tech. Like, he got the robotics facility, sure, but there's no Robo Bay. He doesn't have any forges. There's nothing here that says to me late game just yet, unless he starts up charge and puts a Templar Archives, and even then, that strategy is quite bad versus Terran. So HerO's going to warp in more units offensively, but there's already 2 bunkers.
HerO's just counterattacking. He's going all in from here. We saw him blinking down the map here. He wants to make this counterattack happen, but 2 bunkers already. Should be sitting pretty sweet here. Stim halfway done as well. Needs to get those SCVs up to repair it, though. We could risk it going down.
He's building 2 Marauders, 2 Marines, and a tank at a time. So he has a very powerful setup of production. Now, this is a big moment here. Blinks in 2 of those Stalkers, though, getting caught. Not quite so good. He's going to go for the tech lab on the factory, deny any future tanks from being made. That Stim is quite vulnerable, too.
Yeah, he's got to be very careful. He cannot afford to lose Stim. Trading with the Stalkers. Nice blink back here. Trading with SCVs, getting rid of as many as he can, but he has to man the bunkers as well.
He has a scan as well, so if he could pick off the Observer well, after forcing these blinks, yes, he does. This means HerO cannot blink straight back into the main. He has to go through these bunkers, and now the tank, well, just like we talked about on King Sejong Station, the tank is without, you know, it's not really in a position where you can dive on it yet.
Yeah, no, especially that far back behind a bunker. And yeah, very kind of sloppy play with the Observer getting picked off like that. He should have been suspecting a scan would go down. Yeah. And he's going for the front again, but that tank is up doing so much damage. Cancels that bunker. But he's going to need more than that if he wants to kind of catch up in this game.
Yep, this is a very tricky position to be in. HerO's been pumping out lots of probes in the meantime. He's only just now, though, at the 10.5-minute mark, started to mine the gas in his natural. His tech super slowed down by all of this. You know, we talked about how he had the robotics facility. Well, now he's just starting his first forge. Nothing like charges on the way. Doesn't have a robotics bay coming in. No Templar archives. He's just playing around with gateway units. And, you know, as this supply rises for TaeJa, his army just gets better and better versus that.
Yeah, we're just going to see a huge timing at some point. We do see 2 engineering bays go down. So TaeJa also wants to catch up with these upgrades. He had to invest in a few other techs before he could really go there to defend against this. But yeah, I kind of feel like he's just going to be building up Medivacs, building Marauder Marine, and just go for the kill because everything else of HerO is so far behind.
Yeah, with Stim, there's not really, you know, you don't really win head-to-head fights with Stalkers against Stim to Bio. It's just not how it works. You need to have Colossi. Now, the robotics bay is coming in, but we've reached this point now where HerO's not trying to be like crazy aggressive. He's actually just trying to poke at TaeJa enough that he stays in his base. Because if TaeJa gets to HerO's base right now, those Stalkers will all die instantly. Even with the Nexus cannon firing, it's not going to be enough. The Immortal will help anchor him down a bit more, but he needs that Colossus.
Yeah, he really needs it ASAP. Getting a mole is going to help for sure, and yeah, halfway done is the armor, which is going to be very, very important in this fight. I think he should have it done by the time he gets to the natural, so long as he's chrono boosting it.
Yeah. During all of this, by the way, TaeJa did squeeze out a 3rd command center. It's just now finishing moving into an orbital. So, you know, speaking as far as the economy goes, TaeJa is in about as good of a position as you can really ask to be. He'd like to float that over soon, most likely, but not a huge problem right now. And he actually is going to float it over and take his 3rd base.
So, yeah, he has a great transition here. He's just playing into the mid game. His strongest part, I think, the strongest timing for TaeJa is the mid game. He loves to macro hard. And he's so comfortable because he does have the composition advantage. He defended everything HerO has thrown at him, and he did a lot of economic damage early on.
Yeah, these stalkers are out on the map, trying to be annoying. He sees that command center, plopped down. He has his own third base on the way. 1-1, coming reasonably close to finishing, and I wonder, he did kill that pylon. So
he did.
HerO knows there's an army over there. I think he just warped in 5 stalkers as well. But TaeJa just threatening the big drop plays.
It could do a lot of damage. I mean, it doesn't look like there's too much in the main either.
I really, you know, he could have, like, he does not, he actually didn't see like the robotics bay, I don't think, but he's still just building medevacs. Like, he's not really worried about Vikings just yet. And I find this slightly surprising. He's even building Widow Mines too, so maybe he's not 100% sure where HerO's going from here, or he just feels that confident that he doesn't need Vikings.
Yeah, well, I mean, we have seen in the past Terrence kind of really skimp out on Vikings for quite some time and just invest in a lot of bio, go for multiple attacks, multiple drops here. A big blink forward. I think I agree with that. Losing so many Stalkers here. Gonna have to get back though because there's just 2 Colossi with that army.
I mean, trading out Marines for Stalkers is not bad, but he's got a flanking force coming in on the right side. 2 Colossi exposed, gets one of them going for 2. Marines do get cleaned up. Only a handful of Marauders here to try to take this out, and that Immortal still doing a pretty good job of keeping TaeJa away. But, I mean, TaeJa, these trades, you know, don't be fooled. They're going very well for him. He's up 30 supply. He's got his 1-1 upgrades. His armory is done. He's producing Vikings. He's moving up now to 8 or 9 barracks. He's got a fantastic amount of production. He's going up to 8 racks. So he's going to be producing absurd numbers of units in the next few minutes.
He can afford to trade like this because his third base was up so much, so much ahead of what HerO's is. His only finish now, he's finally saturating it. TaeJa has complete momentum of this game. He's making the correct composition to deal with exactly what HerO has. HerO kind of going for a curveball, making the Dark Templar Shrine. Wants to try and do some economic damage, some counter-attacking here to kind of catch up again. But no Templar tech yet. So he's going to have to make a lot of Colossi and, you know, kind of start upgrading a lot more because we see 2-2 on the way already for TaeJa.
TaeJa has played a pretty flawless series so far. Could be looking to end it if he can get a really good fight here. He has a lot of Viking production coming in, so he doesn't have to commit yet. Goes on the third base, takes a couple shots, he's going to move back. And if these Stalkers blink trying to chase, there's a 4 or so Widow Mines. He's even brought the tank, you know, commonly known as one of those units that can lose you TVP. But he's very confident. He's got a position that I don't really think is breakable at the moment.
It seems that way, and yeah, that tank could help out a little bit against these Zealots, getting rid of some of the shields here, but
the
a huge blink in here.
Forward, and the Stalkers blink under the Vikings, and the Widow Mines immediately detonate.
Yeah, and the tank helped out a little bit with that as well. Not many Stalkers left here, warping in more Zealots. I don't know about this.
What a cool idea, just put the Widow Mines where if the Stalkers blink for them, they get hit.
Yeah, it's a brilliant idea here, and I mean, it's going to do so much work against these Zealots too.
Ooh.
Oh, they're taking so much damage, and everything is just getting evaporated here for HerO. He's going to have to pull back again. Immortal gets caught out.
TaeJa up almost 100 supply. There's a single Dark Templar here, you know, just a scan away from basically winning this game, as that last Colossus does not have enough support to hold this push by itself. 2-2 upgrades, by the way, are only about 30 seconds or so away from finishing for TaeJa. He'll have a massive advantage at that point, and he's just trying to hammer it in right now. It's like, yeah, run, Colossus. There's nothing here to help you. And with this next scan, killing every last unit that HerO has, TaeJa looks like he's going to be knocking his teammate out of the tournament once again.
It looks like at a very, very, very solid 3-0, completely one-sided series here. I mean, TaeJa is just a beast at this matchup. And HerO, you know, he didn't have a very convincing series yesterday. Not a very convincing results. So not too surprised it kind of ended up like this, but still a bit disappointing.
Yeah. Tough series for HerO, absolutely nothing going right, and TaeJa showing once again why he finished top 4 at BlizzCon, why he is one of the best players in the world at StarCraft, and you know, doing it in a pretty cool fashion. He mixed up his builds throughout all 3 games, and he did a great job of holding everything that HerO threw his way, picking off the DTs, picking off these Nexus, the single Immortal, trying to hold the fort all on his own.
Not gonna happen here. DTs get warped in again. HerO doesn't really want to leave the game despite being down 160 supply.
Yeah, this is looking like it's going to finally be it, Moonglade. GG, TaeJa takes the 3-0 and advances on, defeating his teammate.
GG.
Really
Had to
well
swallow
played.
that loss before leaving, unfortunately, but yeah, very, very convincing win there from TaeJa.
Yeah, did not seem to be many holes in his play, the way that he reacted, the way he positioned his units. Pretty much flawless. The build order choices that he went for dealt very well with everything that HerO wanted to throw at him. And yeah, just solid play all the way throughout from the Team Liquid Terran player. Another Terran advancing on at Dreamhack Winter.
Non-stop, they just keep winning. I don't know what's going on, man. The Terrans are just on fire at the end of this year.
Yeah, it's we've really caught flame, as one could say. It's been quite fun.
You could say that.
That'd be a weird thing to say.
Yeah.
In Control is here.
Well,
Welcome, friends.
I mean,
Welcome. Out of nowhere.
We got
is
hot,
here.
and then people started to flame us at the same, so I was just kind of going for the double entendre with that one.
That was Kappa HD, actually.
Yeah, there's a mini K to be specific.
Wow.
Yeah.
Watching that 3-0 takes me right back to DreamHack Summer when that 17-0 happened.
Yeah.
Just watching this 3-0,
yeah.
instant wins, easy peasy.
This was a beatdown, unfortunately.
It was very much so a beatdown. Exactly
A
like the
ruthless
finals
beatdown.
last time.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
I think HerO tried what he could. He had a couple of the cheesy builds that are going around in the meta right now, but it's unfortunately to the point in time, too, where Terrans are actually pretty okay with this. The Blink Stalker all in is not what it used to be back in, again, the Dream Pool era where they first came around. Terrans had a tough time with it, but since then they've adapted, and it just doesn't seem to have the same effect. You can catch them off guard, like mixing an Oracle and stuff in there, but it's just not happening. This was, competitively speaking, a very bad series. So I'm getting more excited to see TaeJa progressing forward as he faces some of these other guys that are putting together monster tournaments as well, namely all the other Terrans.
All of the Terrans.
All of them.
Your race, Nathanius, seems to be doing very well in this tournament.
We're pretty awesome. If you guys want to join the club, you can matchmaking. There's a Terran tab right there. You can join us anytime.
Is the reason that Terrans are doing so well because they're the superior players to the game?
I mean,
Does he get that reference?
World,
I hope so.
in a world with good balance, of course. Of course.
Okay.
No, but seriously speaking, what do you think is attributed to Terran's success right now? Because it is happening across in other tournaments as well.
I mean, the Terran success, I think the biggest thing was the Widowmine Splash getting restored. Like, at first you had like the extra damage versus shields, and it was like, okay, it kind of, because it scaled the same way that the Widowmine Splash scaled, that made Terrans have a lot of not success against Zerg players because you couldn't really kill him much with them. But when you take the upgrade that was applied to the shields, you're doing like 80 damage versus Zealots, and it seems like, it's like, well, losing Zealots wasn't how he lost the series, but it's more of like a you can't do Charge Lot Archon, which means Terrans don't have to open up Fast Ghost, which is one of the #1 things that made it really hard for us to play mid-game versus Protoss back when they were doing well.
Yeah. Okay. And I think also maps have something to do with
I think
that
it's
as well.
a lot maps. Yeah, maps help out a lot in this matchup.
I feel like it's not as big of an issue as it is for Terran versus Zerg, though. Like, the maps have a much bigger impact on that one, I believe.
Okay. Well, we'll have more time to talk about this. Terrans are doing really well at DreamHack Winter, guys. And speaking of Terrans and doing well, Smix has one Terran that seems to be doing really well.
Thank you very much, In Control. It is true, TaeJa seems to be unstoppable, especially after that series. TaeJa, you said that HerO is the prince of DreamHack, but then you proceeded to crush him 3-0. Was that your way of telling all of us that you are the true prince of DreamHack?
일단 이 드림핵을 제가 먹으면은 제가 왕자가 될 수 있을 것 같아요.
All right. He says, hold on. If I'm able to win this whole DreamHack Winter, then that title will be mine. So he says, hold your horses. Not quite yet. Next of all, TaeJa, your next opponent is going to be Jaedong, who you're actually completely undefeated against this whole year, or San, who I know you're actually very, very good friends with. So I'm wondering, is there a preference there?
프레퍼런스가 뭔 뜻이에요? 뭐 상대가 다 제가 쉬워하는 상대들이라서 누구든지 상관없을 것 같아요.
TaeJa says, honestly, either opponent really easy for me, so I really don't care who comes out on top. Last but not least, I have to ask this then. In the last interview, you said you were concerned because you made it to the losers bracket. Is there a player in the losers bracket or even in this tournament that you're afraid of?
여기 전체 토너먼트에서도 딱히 상대될 만한 사람은 없을 것 같아요. 결승 가면은 또 달라질 것 같아요. 네.
이승현 선수도 걱정 안 되세요?
승현이가 아마 결승 올라올 것 같은데 결승 가면은 자신 있어요. 네.
He says, not just the loser's bracket, but in this whole tournament, no, there's no one that concerns me, even if that may change in the grand final. So then I said, what about Life, TaeJa? I mean, he did lose to Life yesterday, and he said, no, even if it's probably likely that I'll meet Life in the grand finals, but even if it was Life that I meet, I'm really, really confident. So very confident words from our Terran TaeJa. We'll see how he does as this tournament progresses. Don't go anywhere. After this break, we will have the fan favorite Evil Genius's Jaedong against an opponent who's actually very good in his PVZ. It'll be Yoi Flashwolf's San, so stay tuned.